This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
They brought together the largest gathering of America's top commanders in history.
I could not stand in front of my Father in heaven one day and say, my pension plan was more important than your truth.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. The era of woke warriors is over. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth made his point loud and clear to a packed room of U.S. military commanders in Virginia.
No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions.
Former U.S. Army Special Ops soldier Brett Volokhovich.
This is a very unprecedented leadership moment where President Trump and Hegseth, they brought together the largest gathering of America's top commanders in history. It was a clear sign of focus, seriousness about our nation's defense. This is about making sure the entire senior officer corps is aligned on the mission, the priorities, readiness. That's leadership.
In Washington, D.C., there was unity at the White House at a press conference on the cost of prescription drugs. First, the Health and Human Services Secretary, Bobby Kennedy, sneezes in front of Donald Trump.
They couldn't test. God bless you, Bobby. I hope I didn't catch COVID just there.
Kennedy, the czar, slated to rein in drug costs. Standing 2 feet from him, though, the CEO of one of the largest pharmaceuticals in the nation that makes and profits from those drugs, Pfizer. Trump jokingly asks Pfizer for an on-the-spot COVID medication.
Don't you have Paxlovid? What is it? Paxlovid. He's got Paxlovid. Give me a Paxlovid immediately.
The three men in a room working together to lower the cost of what you pay for medicine. Trump announced Pfizer has agreed to discount the cost of several prescription drugs.
Pfizer has agreed to provide some of their most popular current medications to all consumers at heavily discounted prices of anywhere between 50 and even 100%.
The White House also unveiled a direct-to-consumer website for prescription purchases today, meaning no in-person medical appointment needed for some drugs. President Trump's Religious Liberty Commission just wrapped up its third meeting, and this time it was on religious suppression in K-12 schools nationwide.
This policy forced teachers, said they must affirm all transgender students and treat boys as girls and girls as boys. So Loudoun County Public Schools, my employer, gave teachers a choice: deny truth or risk everything.
Teacher Monica Gill, one of those, testifying.
At first, I was afraid, but I knew that I could not stand in front of my Father in heaven one day and say, my pension plan was more important than your truth.
Alliance Defending Freedom is Gill's legal team. ADF attorney Tyson Langhofer spoke with the Family Life newsroom today.
Her school was forcing her to refer to girls as boys and boys as girls. In other words, they're forcing her to lie about who they are and about who God created them to be, about what it means to be male and female. That's a real attack on the identity that God has placed in each one of us. The religious freedom of being able to tell the truth, be able to speak biblical truth is taken away.
Langhofer says if we've learned anything after the death of Charlie Kirk, it's that if Christians don't speak up, we're going to lose our voice.
The Constitution provides broad, very robust protection for both freedom of speech and free exercise of religion. But none of those freedoms matter if we don't exercise them and if we don't push back when they are infringed upon. So I would encourage people to be bold, to be winsome and full of grace, but also to be bold and to stand on the rights that our Constitution gives us.
The commission will collect testimonies and compile them into a report for President Trump. After that, Trump says he'll issue an executive order on religious freedom and encourage Congress to write laws protecting some of the liberties lost for those of faith. A potential government shutdown is looming at midnight tonight without a political deal. CBS reporter Nicole Killian.
We expect some type of vote potentially at some point before the end of the day. And look, senators that I talk to say that they are willing to stay for as long as it takes to try to resolve this issue.
It's a little after 5 p.m. and so far, no deal in sight. There are officially twin hurricanes out in the Atlantic. Imelda reached hurricane strength just a few hours ago beside Hurricane Humberto. Meteorologist Craig Allen.
Imelda is going to take a sharp right-hand turn, sort of being pulled by the circulation of Umberto and will then head on out to sea. But this time, the track is going to be closer to the island of Bermuda. So a hurricane watch is currently in effect.
And after 85 years, the Social Security Administration is transferring away from paper checks. That means that America's 74 million Social Security recipients will be getting paid through direct deposit or a debit card. Those with no other means to receive the income will still get a paper check in the mail. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, a ruling from the Pennsylvania Supreme Court on mail-in ballots. Governor Hochul allows illegal immigrants to get CDL driver's licenses. And don't get scammed with those New York inflation rebate checks on the way. Safety tips next after weather with Kevin Williams.
Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast for tonight. Turning out clear and pleasant, cooler than some recent nights. Low temperatures mainly 40s. Fog in some valleys late. Tomorrow, blue sky, bright sun, cooler than recent days, a touch breezy. High temperatures in the 60s. Thursday, mostly sunny and crisp. High in the 60s and mostly sunny, dry and slowly warming Friday through the coming weekend.
All right, Kevin, checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court is ruling that voters must be notified if they make any mistakes on their mail-in ballots that could lead to their ballot getting thrown out, like a missing date or signature. The decision was made in a lawsuit filed against Washington County last year after county officials announced it would not notify voters of any potentially disqualifying ballot errors. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik has released a statement today angered that New York Governor Kathy Hochul is now issuing New York State CDL licenses to illegal immigrants under no name given, calling it, quote, dangerous and irresponsible. Stefanik says Hochul's green light law allows some criminal illegal immigrants to be issued commercial driver's licenses without a name, allowing them to operate 80,000-pound commercial vehicles across the country. There's a statewide warning today about those inflation refund checks arriving in the mail in New York. Scammers are falsely claiming you need to submit payment information in order to get that check. Don't be fooled. Cybersecurity expert Paul Robinson says if you get such a phone call or a text,
don't click on it. I know that's extremely simplistic, but don't click on it.
Robinson says the scammers are sending out texts, voice messages, and emails trying to gain access to your personal information. The state says it never solicits information that way.
If there are current events that are going on and you get a text, more often than not, probably pretty much all the time, it's going to be some sort of scam.
New York is mailing out 8.2 million checks through November, and there's nothing you have to do in order to collect it. There's a brand new report by New York State on the mental health needs of first responders. Kevin Pooley is vice president of the state's 911 Coordinators Association and tells Spectrum News.
Since COVID, things have really drastically changed. Our call volume has increased significantly, and the types of calls have increased in severity.
The first annual state assessment found suicidal thoughts among the state's first responders are 4 times higher than in the general population. And the lack of rain is stressing out trees and impacting fall foliage. The drought is causing trees to change color early, and in some cases, it's causing trees to not change at all.
In areas that tend to be relatively dry and on hillsides that are sort of south and west facing, which tend to be dry, a lot of those trees are not going to be part of the party for fall color this year.
Donald Leopold is an expert on the autumn colors at the SUNY College of Environmental Science and Forestry in Syracuse.
Drought stress can lead to insect infestations and disease issues and just a general decline.
This weekend will mark peak autumn colors for the Adirondacks. The Twin Tiers, Western New York, and Central Pennsylvania usually see their best fall foliage by the middle part of October. Next at 5, highlights from today's Hometown Heroes feature with Todd Gallagher, a Western Pennsylvania missionary who's been serving refugees in war-torn Ukraine and in neighboring Romania. He says recent stepped-up attacks by Russia are taking a toll.
We just came back in August here to USA for a short time, but just prior to us going, we had a 10-day trip with 3 brothers from Romania that drove in and went into the front line in our 10-day journey, which was the most dangerous one that we had done done yet.
I don't think anybody listening stateside can really grasp, myself included, just what you've seen and what the people of Ukraine, and I guess Romania as well, have seen over the last years now. I don't think anybody ever envisioned this situation lasting years to begin with, but that it has and shows no signs really of necessarily abating. I just can't imagine the toll that's taken on people, not only mentally, physically, but spiritually too.
Yeah, you would think that you get kind of numb to the war as we kind of get fatigued over here on listening to it and it's another attack, and then we just kind of move on with our day. And I understand that. But over there as well, people are getting hardened and their resolve, sometimes goes back and forth. But since the beginning of 2025, Russia has really amped up their drone production. They're mass producing these drones that enable these attacks to be so different than the beginning of the war. The war has evolved. We see that the United States is learning from this as to how war is done is much different now with the invent of the drones being such a critical part. And that has really made things much more difficult. You'd think, okay, Russia is waning on things and the attacks maybe are less. It's worse right now than it has ever been since day one of the war. And that's because of the drones. Yesterday morning, real early in Ukraine, in Kiev, 540 drones sent across there. And these drones aren't the ones that people are flying, that you buy, the DJI drones, the four little propellers. These are single direction drones that look like little mini planes that are unidirectional, remotely guided with a massive charge at the end of it. So just statistically, 595 drones were sent in yesterday morning, 48 missiles as well. Ukrainians' air defense that is automated gets a lot of those missiles. 48 sent in, 43 of them were knocked down prior without causing life damage. There were some buildings below, but yet 5 get through. The massive damage that 5 can do are incredible. Then you add those 500, almost 600 drones, 570 roughly were knocked down by 50 caliber machine guns on the back of pickup trucks all around these areas throughout the country. But again, 30 get through and they cause massive damage. Since these drones have come in there, we've been hit now 4 times. Again, minimal deaths, which is good, but less than 10 deaths in the last 2 months. But it's a very dangerous area now. Nowhere safe.
That's Todd Gallagher with A18 Missions, serving victims of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Listen to the full interview along with all of our Family Life News features at Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and at familylife.org.
You've probably heard the saying, you'll never see a hearse pulling a U-Haul. Hi, I'm Rob West of the Faith and Finance Minute. It's a humorous reminder that we can't take our possessions with us when we die. In fact, 1 Timothy 6:7 says, we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But that doesn't mean we should ignore what we leave behind. Through a will or trust, you can decide who will manage what God has entrusted to you. Unfortunately, many people avoid estate planning, leaving those decisions to the probate court instead. But as stewards, we're called to plan wisely. Will what you leave behind be a blessing or a burden? You can't take it with you, but you can leave a legacy that reflects God's wisdom and advances His kingdom. Get biblical answers to your financial questions in the Faith Fi community. Download Faith Fi, Faith and Finance in your app store or visit faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, if you remember this sound, you are going to feel pretty old with our last story. That's coming up next after weather.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Not a whole lot to discuss in terms of our local weather. The beat goes on, dry conditions for the foreseeable future. But the passage of a cold front will lower temperatures. The next couple nights and days will be cooler than it has been of late. Our call for tonight, turning out clear and pleasant, cooler than some recent nights. Low temperatures, mainly 40s. Fog in some valleys late. Tomorrow, blue sky, bright sun, cooler than recent days, a touch breezy. High temperatures in the 60s. Thursday, mostly sunny and crisp. High in the 60s and mostly sunny, dry and slowly warming Friday through the coming weekend.
All right, Kevin, finally at 5, it is the end of an era.
You've got mail.
You know the sounds. AOL used to be the way that America would get online. But after today, the company is pulling the plug on its longtime dial-up service. At its peak, it had 10 million customers. And who could forget the friendly "You've Got Mail" voice of Elwood Edwards? In an interview 15 years ago, Edwards recounted how he became one of the most recognizable voices in the world.
My wife worked at the company when they were becoming AOL. She and I met on Commodore 64 computers in 1987, and then the company was becoming AOL. She overheard that they were toying with the idea of adding a voice to the software, and she said, "Why don't you try L?" So they did. It started off as a test, and it kept on going.
But alas, AOL dial-up will no longer exist as of midnight tonight.
Goodbye.
And that's the world that we live in for Tuesday, the 30th of September. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.